Welcome back to Telling Stories. I'm your host, Mr. Story, and today we'll be reading Otis and the Puppy by Lauren Long. It was springtime on the farm where the friendly little tractor named Otis lived. The flowers bloomed, the trees were filled with leaves, and the farm buzzed with the joy of a new season. There were fields to plow and crops to plant, and Otis was right in the middle of it all, working hard. Put, puff, puttity chuff. When the workday was over, Otis, the little calf, and all their farm friends loved to play hide and seek. Otis loved to be it, counting 1 putt, 2 puff, 3 puttity, 4 chuff, as his friends ran to hide. When he reached 10, it was game on, and Otis motored here and there, looking for his friends. He found the little calf hiding in a deep thicket of wildflowers. He found the ducks hiding in Mud Pond. And he found the bull hiding in the haystack. Otis and the animals would play until the sun disappeared behind the trees, making sure to be home before darkness fell. One evening, the farmer gathered everyone up in front of the barn and gently placed a burlap sack on the ground. The sack began to wobble, tumble, and roll. It sat up, stretched to the sky, and went, what could be in there? Then out popped a little head. A puppy! The puppy shook his ears, raised his head to the sky, and yelped out another arf! Then he burst out of the sack and romped around, greeting everyone with wet kisses. He wriggled from head to toe, and his spotted tail wiggled and wagged, wagged and wiggled. The farm animals smiled as they watched their happy new friend. And then, as quickly as he jumped out of the sack, he wobbled over to Otis, leaned on his tire, yawned, slouched, and plopped off to sleep. The farmer put up an old doghouse in front of the barn, scooped up the sleepy puppy, placed him in his new home, and said, "Good night, little pup." Otis, the little calf, and all the animals filed into the barn for a good night's sleep. Otis yawned and nestled into his stall. He was thrilled to have the little puppy on the farm, and he smiled as he drifted off to sleep. Put, puff, puttity zzz. All of a sudden, he awoke to a pitiful whimper. The whimper turned into a whine, and the whine into a yelp. It was the puppy. It was dark as midnight. Otis took a deep breath, clicked on his headlights, and putted out to the doghouse, where he found the puppy trembling with fear. He was afraid of the dark. With a chuff, Otis invited him into the barn, where the puppy curled up and fell fast asleep. From that night on, the puppy would slink from his doghouse into the barn with Otis, where he felt safe. And after a day of working on the farm, the two friends would play hide and seek with the others. One day, while it was Otis's turn to be it, he sat counting to 10 while the others hid. 1 puff, 2 puff, 3 puttity, 4 chuff. But the puppy had something else in mind. Otis finished counting, peeled out, and motored here and there, putt, puff, puttity, chuff, swerving and darting and skidding as fast as he could to find his friends. He found the little calf hiding behind the old apple tree, and the ducks hiding in a scraggly growth of honeysuckle, and he found the massive bull trying his best to hide behind a lone dandelion. But where was the puppy? Otis and the animals searched high and low. Even the farmer came to help, but they couldn't find the puppy anywhere. Finally, the farmer stopped the search. "It's getting dark," he said. "Let's continue the search in the morning light." By the time they reached the barn, it was already quite late, and all the animals went right to bed. Yet Otis couldn't sleep. His heart ached deep inside his engine. He knew how scared of the dark his new friend was, and he was worried that the puppy had wandered into the forest. He puttered over to the barn door, looked out into the night, and sighed. Like the little puppy, Otis too was afraid of the dark, but he knew what he had to do. He clicked on his headlights and puffed out into the night. Just inside the forest, Otis stopped dead in his tracks. The sounds of the night crackled, thumped, and croaked all around him. His heart pounded and he shook like a leaf. Every part of him wanted to turn and run back to the farm, yet he knew his friend needed him, so he closed his eyes and began to count. 1 putt, 2 putt, 3 puttity 4 chuff. By the time he got to 5, Otis felt a lot calmer. When he hit 10, it was game on. He peeled out and motored here and there. He swerved and darted and skidded and flashed his headlights everywhere in the dark night. He circled and crisscrossed the forest, making sure to see every possible place a puppy could hide. Finally, his light shined across an old hollow log with a little spotted tail poking out of one end. The puppy was whimpering softly, too scared to come out, but when he heard Otis, he squealed with joy. Arf, arf, arf! He wriggled and wagged and wiggled right out of the log. He squealed and cried and covered Otis's face with kisses. Then the two friends began to make their way home. They stood tall together as they passed through the dark forest, and somehow the night sounds no longer felt so frightening to them. On the farm, a warm, safe bed awaited them. Before long, a new day would arrive, full of bright sunshine, work, and play. The end. The Little White Owl by Tracy Corderoy and Jane Chapman. Once there was a little white owl who lived by himself in the snow. He didn't have a mommy, he didn't have a daddy, he didn't even have a name. But he didn't really mind too much. It had always been like that, and his head was full of happy stories. Sometimes he was a brave white knight, and sometimes he was a snowflake. Sometimes he was a rocket blasting off to the moon. But every night at bedtime he sat on his favorite branch, nibbling toast spread with strawberry jam and counting the stars by himself. Then one day he looked at the big blue sky that stretched on and on forever. "I wonder what's out there," said the little white owl. So he packed his teddy and his clock. It was time to see the world. For days the little white owl flew over turquoise oceans and deserts of gold. Then he spotted the prettiest trees, sprinkled with tiny jewels. So down, down, down he swooped. But wait! These jewels had beaks! They were owls, beautiful owls, owls just like him. "Would anyone like a bite of toast?" he said. But the beautiful owls sat quiet and still. They didn't want to spoil their perfect feathers. "How very plain you are," groaned the green.
"No colors at all,"
sniffed the dotty red.
"You don't belong with us. Go away."
"But I do have colors," cried the little white owl. "Here, in my heart. And bumping up and down in me are lots of happy stories. I'll share them with you if you want me to." The owl sat and thought, then, sighed the blue. "A story might help pass the time."
"Fine, but just one."
the flowery pink said with a yawn. So the little white owl swung on a branch with his little Teddy, and he munched his toast and shared a happy story. "Ah," breathed the blue owl dreamily when the little white owl had finished. The other owls all glared at her. "Oops, sorry," she blushed. "But couldn't we have just one more?" So the little white owl closed his eyes, and magical stories came pouring from his heart. Colorful tales of castles and knights and dragons with fiery breath, and blasting through moonbeams and counting bright stars and tumbling down like a snowflake. Slowly, and rather to their surprise, the owls began to smile. "Ah," they breathed, then suddenly, "More!" everyone cried. At last, when all his toast was gone, the little white owl checked his clock. "Gosh, I need to go," he gasped. "Back to my sparkly home. I need to feel the snow and count the stars." But then a blue wing fluttered and a tail of dotty red began to twitch. "Take us too!" cried the pretty owls, sweeping into the sky. "We want to feel your fluffy snow and count your sparkly stars and play and laugh and tumble just like you." So the little white owl led them home, where they tumbled and twirled on the ice. Like splashes of rainbow, they speckled the snow, their colors brighter than ever. Later, they huddled together and sipped warm cocoa. "Tomorrow, when we fly home," said the blue, "the white clouds will remind us of you. Promise you'll visit very soon." "I promise," smiled the little white owl. "And you can tell me all your stories." Then he snuggled up on his favorite branch, and soon was dreaming happy dreams as a huge silver moon lit the deep, dark sky that stretched on and on forever. The Adventures of Beagle, the Unimaginary Friend, by Dan Santat. He was born on an island far away where imaginary friends were created. Here they lived and played, each eagerly waiting to be imagined by a real child. Every night he stood under the stars, hoping for his turn to be picked by a child and given a special name. He waited for many nights. But his turn never came. His mind filled with thoughts of the amazing things that were keeping his friend from imagining him. So rather than waiting, he did the unimaginable. He sailed through unknown waters and faced many scary things, but thinking about his friend gave him the courage to journey on. Until he reached the real world. The real world was a strange place. No kids were eating cake, no one stopped to hear the music, and everyone needed nap time. Then he finally saw something familiar, so he followed. He had a good feeling about this place, but he looked everywhere, and he could not find his friend. He climbed to the top of a tree and looked out, wishing and hoping his friend would come. But no one came. He thought about how far he'd come and how long he'd waited, and felt very sad. Then he heard a noise below. "Hello!" Her face was friendly and familiar, and there was something about her that felt just right. At first, they weren't sure what to do. Neither of them had made a friend before, but after a little while, they realized they were perfect together. Beagle? I'm Beagle. Hi, Beagle. Beagle and Alice had many new adventures. They shared their snacks. They told funny jokes. The world began to feel a little less strange. And together, they did the unimaginable. Z is for Moose by Kelly Bingham and Paul Zelinsky. A is for Apple. B is for Ball. C is for Cat. D is for Moose. Moose? No! Moose does not start with a D. You are on the wrong page. E is for Elephant. Oh, sorry. Look out! F is for Fox. G is for Glove. Is it my turn yet? No. Now move off the page. I is for Ice Cream. Now. J is for Jar. Now. K is for Kangaroo. Now. Mommy, who is that? Here it comes. L is for Lollipop. M is for Mouse. What? Wait, no, that was supposed to be me. Moose with an M. I'm sorry, we decided to go with Mouse this time. N is for Needle. Well, I never. Woo. R is for Moose. Stop it. S is for Moose. T is for Truck. U is for Umbrella. V is for Violin. W is for Whale. Moose? X is for Xylophone. You can be in the book. I can't. It's too late. All that's left is Z. Y is for Yo-Yo. Come on. Z is for Zebra's friend, Moose. Thanks for dropping by. I hope you enjoyed the stories today, and if you did, please leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and help support the authors. They're all listed in the description box down below. If you'd like to check out another video, you can do so here. And until next time, I've been Mr. Story, you've been at Telling Stories, and we'll see you in the next video.